Hello guys and welcome to another video. Welcome to Friday. My name's Mark, I'm an entrepreneur and property investor. And in today's video, I'm joined by some special guests. Nick, flip the camera around, do stuff like that. This is Tom. Tom runs my Newbury branch of Go Green Taxis. And we have Lamar who's joining us very, very shortly. And I just wanted to do a video today because Tom suggested or asked me, can I go through the timeline of my property portfolio and how it grew over time? So I thought, what an excellent opportunity for me to actually outline exactly how long it took me to grow my portfolio from 0 to £3 million. So let's get into the video. Let's go over to the whiteboard. I think we'll need to write it all down so that I can show everybody. Thank you for the nod, Nick. But I think you guys will agree, this studio looks absolutely fantastic. I'm really pleased with how everything's coming along. I love this new thing. True wealth doesn't burn. We've got passive income neons. We've got the Invest with Mark Parham neon over there. I think the studio is really coming together. But let's get into my property portfolio and how I've grown that from 0 to 3 million, how that's generated me in capital appreciation, 33,000 in the last 3 months, and over £10,000 a month in rental profit. Let's go, guys. So guys, you join me over at the whiteboard, and if you haven't already given this video a like, please give it a big like. It helps me out with the algorithm, and it means more people can get access to this free content, and I can share my journey with more people. And as a sweetener to that, remember, we give away the dividends from our subscriber dividend portfolio every single month. We're tracking my journey, and eventually we're going to give away what, Nick?
House.
We're going to give away a house. We're going to give away a house when we get to 100,000 subscribers. So no reason not to subscribe. But let's go through my journey and let's understand how that really started. Because I made some very interesting behavioural choices, I think, at the beginning of my journey. Now, my journey started when I bought my first house over in Erith. And I had a choice of buying a 1-bedroom studio over in Canada Water for about 180,000 or a 3-bedroom house in Erith, which is a bit further out of London in South East, a bit further out of London towards Kent, but it meant I could buy a 3-bedroom house rather than a 1-bedroom studio. And the leverage that gave me was it meant that I was able to rent out the spare rooms. So in order to purchase that property, it was 176,000, and I had to put down a deposit of 17,000. Now, we rented out those 2 spare rooms for £1,000 a month. So if you do the maths, I mean, that meant within 17 months, I had received all of my capital back in rental income alone. And remember, there are big tax breaks for lodgers' income as well. You don't pay tax on the first £700 that you receive every single month. So it's a fantastic way for anyone to get started. So I guess from my experience, one of the easiest ways for people to get involved in property is to buy their own home. And if you're in a position where you can rent out a room or rent out part of that property, then I think that's a really fantastic place to be. That said, even if I didn't manage to do that, the capital appreciation on this property took care of me, as you'll see on my next purchase. So this is 2010, and my next purchase doesn't actually happen until 2015 because I needed to save up about £100,000, which is a huge amount of money to make the next move. So we bought the second house in 2015, again, this time a home, somewhere for us to live. And the original house was refinanced in order to do that. Beyond that, we also then rented this out as a single let, which meant we were able to increase the profitability of it. So there's lots and lots of wins by doing this, to be honest. And I really remember somebody saying to me that, remember, transaction costs really matter. Every time you transact in the market, people take their fees, solicitors, estate agents. This gentleman said to me, try and make sure that you hold on to all the assets that you buy. Only buy assets that you're happy to hold on to for the long run. And I knew a 3-bedroom house in Erith would be a great single let later on. In the same way that I knew the property I was buying in Didcot would be a fantastic HMO when I decided to move on from this. So I bought this house 2015, 399,000. I managed to get the developer to pay my stamp duty. So we've got a few things thrown in, £100,000 as a deposit. And at this point, my property journey starts to accelerate. So 5 years have passed. And at the moment, I've only got 2 properties. If we're going to bring ourselves up to 2020, i.e. last year, when at the end of that I had 13 properties, I'm going to generate another 11 properties in the following 5 years. This is the bit that really doesn't look impressive. When you're building a house, for example, you dig the foundations, you pour the concrete, it's all still below ground. You can't tell it's going to be a house. And even when you pour a slab, you look at it and you go, that's not going to be an amazing house. And in the next 5 years, where I built everything out, and it becomes much, much more impressive. So we need to fast forward from 2015 to 2017, and I purchased another property in Didcot, 351,000, and I was really starting to research HMOs, and I knew that if I purchased this property, it was going to be a fantastic 5-bedroom HMO. Now I needed £87,500. There we go, £87,500. I remember the figure because it was a huge amount of money. How do you think I raised £87,500? Did I save £1,000 a month for 87.5 months? Did I save £2,000 a month for half that time? Or did I just get given it by someone? Well, no. I refinanced property number 1 yet again. And at this point in 2017, this house was worth nearly £375,000. So I was able to get out another £100,000, which I was able to put to work. I was also saving money. Remember, I did have rental income coming through, but this is where my property journey really starts to accelerate, because this property rented out for £3,500 a month with a net profit of about £1,700 a month. So that was huge. I added £20,000 a year to my income. 2018, what happens next? I've now got enough money to buy my first, what I would consider, cheap HMO. So I went to Sheffield for that, and I bought one for £99,000, and I needed to put down £25,000 as a deposit. A lot less, right? And that meant that I could do this much quicker than purchasing maybe another bigger property that might have taken me a much longer period of time to generate the deposit for. So for me, this was a move that just meant that my capital kept moving. Now in 2018, that one rented out for £1,500 a month, which gave me a net profit of about £750 to £850 per month. So a fantastic return on investment. The 25 isn't the full story. There was furniture, there was other things involved, there's fees, everything else. I think all in I was 37k, something like that. I don't want to mislead you in any way, shape or form. I just want to show you the progression of my portfolio and how it happened. Because in 2018, we now start to really accelerate. And what happens is this property in 2019 becomes ready for revaluation and remortgage. And I'm able to release another 50,000. It becomes worth 400,000. The same year, this property becomes available for remortgage, and it's now worth 450. I'm able to get another 50,000. So suddenly I've got another £80,000 to put to work. And these are huge sums of money to have completely tax-free. Remember, you don't pay tax on anything that you receive from capital appreciation when it's a loan. You're borrowing the money from the bank. There's no tax to pay. So another £80,000 hits my account, and I buy another, I think it's 2 or 3 in 2019. I buy Princes Street in Kettering. That was 135. I buy Harbour Avenue over in Sheffield, 95,000. I buy, oh God, I'm losing track of all the ones I buy. I buy another one. I'm not sure what the other one is. I'm doing this on the fly. I didn't know I was doing this video today. I don't know what else I buy. I buy something else, 130k-ish. I'm not sure the address, if I'm honest. But as you can see, the snowball's really starting, and you can feel the momentum getting behind you. For example, today in 2021, I've just refinanced this property, and we've refinanced it at 185,000. We've just refinanced this property at 140,000, and we've just refinanced this I know where that is now. We've refinanced this property at 180,000. So yeah, you can see that it's really starting to ramp up, and that snowball's really starting to gain momentum. At the same time, all of these are HMOs, and they're generating fantastic returns. This one's 750 a month. This one's 850 a month. This one's 750 a month. All of this is adding up, and it's gaining momentum. So in 2020, we get into a position where we can buy a further, I think it's 3 or 4 properties. We bought Mill Road, that was 126,000. We refinanced that 180 very recently because it was a buy, refurbish, refinance project. We bought Stamford Walk, that one was 116,000, and we refinanced that at 200,000. We bought another 2 properties on top, and I'm losing track of where they all are. I can tell you we just bought a flat in 2021, we've just offered on that. But what I really wanted to get across on this, and when me and Tom were talking earlier on, is just how the snowball starts. And when, I think, what did I say, Tom? I think I said it becomes almost impossible to lose because the momentum is so great. And I think once I got to this 2019 level and the momentum really started to step up, it became very, very hard to lose. Now, obviously there are things in the macro environment and the micro environment that can really affect you. And let me give you a couple of examples. In the macro environment, you could have a recession that affected house prices prices, they could go down in the short term. In the micro environment, you might have a leaky roof and therefore have to spend a lot of money fixing that up. So it's really important that you keep capital to one side. And one of the things that I have, until 2021, been very good at is making sure that I've always got money on the sideline. In late 2020 and early 2021, there were just so many opportunities coming my way. I overextended ever so slightly, and I really did start to feel that pinch, and it felt very, very uncomfortable. So I'm very conscious of how much capital I like to keep to one side. And for me, with a portfolio worth about 3 million, I like to have about £100,000 that I can deploy at any point in time, and I keep that in paper assets such as index funds. And we'll do another video all about index funds on another day. But as you can see, the momentum starts. Do you know what? I think there was another one in 2019, Tom. I think there was actually 4 there. And I think there was 3 or 4 in 2020. But it's very hard to keep track of them all as the momentum really gets going. So what I want to do, guys, at this point is just ask Tom and Lamar and Nick to ask me any questions that they might have about my portfolio and how it scaled from being pretty much just a property that I lived in where I rented out the 2 spare bedrooms to today being worth £3.3 million. So guys, what do you want to know? What do you think that I could tell you more?
How many more will you buy this year?
How many do I think I'll buy in 2021? So my target for 2021 was actually to purchase about £500,000 worth of property. I didn't put a figure in terms of numbers on there. So in 2021, I think we bought Stamford. Did we buy Stamford Walk? Did we do Corby this year? Yeah. We did Corby this year. What else did we do this year? I'm asking Nick what I bought this year. I wanted to buy £500,000 worth of property. I think I'm currently at 300,000. There's probably room for one more, which will bring me to that £500,000. So I put an arbitrary figure on it of how much I wanted to invest rather than how many properties I wanted to buy. And that really was around the amount of money that I had coming back. So for example, I know that this money is coming back very, very shortly. There's about 40,000 coming from that one. And this one, I think, is coming back in 2021, 2019. That one's about 40,000 as well. So there's quite a bit of money coming back to me to then reinvest very, very shortly. And one of the things that I always pride myself when I do get refinances is I always invest that money, I don't spend it. I think if you're going to borrow money, you should only borrow money to invest. You shouldn't borrow money for lifestyle, in my opinion. So I pride myself on anything that I refinance, I'm going to invest in one way or another.
So Mark, where did you find the majority of your properties?
Great question, Lamar. So most of these properties just came from Rightmove and relationships we built with estate agents. So interestingly, I've got 2 new builds on here as well, where I was able to negotiate fairly good discounts, and I got my stamp duty paid and some other bits. So Didcot was a little bit of an interesting one, where you could buy a new build for less than you could buy a second-hand house, which is a little bit unusual. Normally you pay a premium for a new build, but in Didcot you weren't paying a premium. So we had this opportunity to buy a couple of new builds without having to pay this premium for a new build status. So for me, those 2 properties really, really good. And this property actually is now a 6-bedroom HMO, and it generates £4,200 a month, and that's about £2,000 a month of net profit. So that alone, plus that one, would probably buy me another house every single year worth about £200,000. So those 2 alone, really, really strong ROIs. And today I think it's worth about £525,000.
So Mark, how did you know what areas you're buying your houses in were a good investment?
That's a fantastic question. So to be honest, we did quite a lot of due diligence in all of the areas that we did. So Didcot, we were very fortunate. We were growing a business and we knew the market very, very well. We have a lot of the clients that we have in our taxi company actually rent rooms from us. So for example, we have the Science and Skills Technology Council in the area, where we have the largest contract in that business, and they have a lot of people coming over to the country, Europeans, who are maybe staying for 2, 3, 4 years on a contract, and they rent a lot of the rooms. So with the Didcot ones, we kind of already knew that it was a good solid area. With the other areas, we just did a lot of research. So we looked into the previous house prices, we looked into the rental demands, we came up with a best case and medium case sort of scenario, and a worst case scenario to boot. But ultimately, we knew that they were going to be fairly strong returns from the research we did. And we've concentrated fairly heavily on that Northamptonshire, we've done a bit in Yorkshire, the Oxfordshire, and now I'm buying this flat in Berkshire. So we kind of got areas that we know quite a lot about. My business partner for Legacy, Scott, used to live in Northamptonshire, so he had good local knowledge. We had some advantages in some of the areas that we chose to focus on, so I think that's really unpick why we chose those areas and how we were able to choose the properties that were going to be best for us. So guys, these guys have had an opportunity to ask me some questions, but you've got the same opportunity from the other side of the screen. So put your comments down below. I'll answer absolutely every single one of them. I hope you found this video interesting. If you have, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already. I massively appreciate every single one of you, and happy Friday. Cheers guys.